if you could wave a wand and mandate one standard API or data field across cores that you believe would just massively move the needle on innovation, what would you pick?
FinTech should be asking the banks, what are their pain points and what are they due?
Welcome to Money Mavericks, the podcast where we explore the dynamic world of finance, investment, and entrepreneurship.
I'm Kirk Drake.
And I'm Daryl Hicks. Together, we're here to bring you the latest insights, expert opinions from the trailblazers who are redefining success in the financial world.
Look, I think one of the areas that is probably a no-brainer for your typical smaller institution where you have somebody who wears multiple hats is in a reconciliation function. So return items.
Yep.
Right? ACH return items. Can I apply some really smart AI tools to that process in an unattended, automated fashion so that when that person, that clerk, that officer comes in to work that, they're dealing with the exceptions. They're dealing with the out-of-bound exceptions and the routine stuff is being taken care of. Those are the kind of areas.
Have you seen anybody address it yet?
Yeah, there's a number of people. I mean, there's a number of companies. Hulup is Todd's company, is a company that came through our accelerator program a couple of years ago. And I mean, there's a number of players we've had in our FinTech accelerator who build the tools to address those kinds of exception processing capabilities.
It's interesting. I think one of the challenges that, we keep coming up against, and I'm sure you probably see this with a lot of your FinTechs, is integrating with these cores. It seems like so much is like this more, and I don't want to be, disparaging here, but, antiquated legacy tech. It's really, really tough to get data in and out. From your seat, looking at like the pain points the community banks are having and the FinTechs who are trying to solve them and where they need to integrate with these cores, if you could wave a wand and mandate one standard API or data field across cores that you believe would just massively move the needle on innovation, what would you pick?
Payments data. First of all, it's the biggest subset of data. Second of all, it's the most complicated because there's so many different types coming and going. And third of all, it is rarely normalized and standardized because I built, here's my ACH solution over here. Here's my check solution over there. Here's my wire solution. Here's my debit card. Here's my credit card. So you have all these kind of siloed payments products and the data, which is so critically important to, number one, understanding what your customers are doing. This is the same way the FinTech should be asking the banks, what are their pain points and what are they doing? The bankers should be asking their customers and looking at what their customers are doing. Where is my customer moving money every month?
Mm-hmm.
And how are they doing it?
I love that you call that one out. This is
and
directly
look,
germane to what I'm working on. So
yeah, so I mean, a couple of companies that we've had through our programs, Revio Insights, Clarivis, a few others. I mean, this is where you start. It's like, if I don't know what my customers are doing, how am I going to build products and services to meet their needs?
Yeah, exactly.
So show me that they're sending money to Venmo and WhatsApp and Cash App and PayPal every month. Show me that they got money going to Robinhood. It's that kind of foundational analytics. So to your question, payments data is ultimately one of the most precious assets that banks possess.
Yeah. And, I often say one of the problems that I see from my angle is that merchants will always know more about the given risk profile of a transaction because they see things that nobody else will see, like the device that's being used, the IP address, the shopping cart contents, email address, shipping address, all these things that are currently not sent into any of the cores or into any of the FIs. But then the FIs will always know more about the risk profile of a given customer, right? Because if they're looking, to your point, are they even looking? But they see everything else that's happening outside of just that one individual transaction. In an ideal scenario, we would have a harmonized, standardized way of bringing all of this together in order to build a real-time comprehensive picture of the true risk profile, combining all that together.
So look, without beating up on them, if you take the traditional core vendors. Their debit card product is running over here on the deposit system. Their credit card system's running on some third-party external system. I got ACH flowing around. How am I going to bring that together so I know what Kirk is doing every month?
Yeah, it's a really hard problem. It's a really hard lift. But that's where the real value is. So my spidey senses were kind of telling me the same thing, but it sounds like I love that was your answer. That's fantastic. It kind of related to.
Set that up
Go ahead, Kirk.
intentionally. I was going to say, I did not set that up intentionally. That was just that.
Well, look, even back pre-.com, one of the things that we've known in the banking industry, because we saw the entrance in there, I can go open a quote unquote depository account with a brokerage, with an insurance company, with all these other parties. I can get loans from lots of different people. Banks control the payment rails. They control the money movement. That is still today one of the most precious assets that is underanalyzed, underappreciated. I don't want to say undermined but it is under space mined in terms of intelligence, in terms of insights. Banks should be mining that payments data in real time, knowing where their customers are moving money, and ask that question: why are you sending money to Robinhood every month? And should I be providing some services to you to keep that money in the bank?
Yeah, that's awesome. Kind of while we're on this theme of payments, one of the themes that I've been hearing more and more from the banks that I'm talking to is there's a lot of buzz, but also a lot of stress around FedNow and RTP. What's the single, like from your seat with when you're talking to all these community banks, what's the single biggest adoption blocker that you're hearing? Like, is it pricing, change management, fraud tooling? And who do you think is really solving that?
I would say, and again, they're snowflakes because they're not necessarily typical. But if you were to try to take all the financial institutions and ask a very simple question: what is the typical use case and what does it cost to address that use case? We're still struggling as an industry. Receive, I get. Treasury Department, send money. I will receive for my customers all day long. The send side is where it's almost like the early days of bill payment, in that we have to build up, number one, a big enough volumetric use case that, number two, the providers of services can drive their costs down. And it's just like check processing in the old days. To go process a single check, I still had to buy a reader sorter that could process 10,000 checks. That very first check was the most expensive check to process. So that very first payment to send is the most expensive to send. And until we get some economies of scale, some use cases with volume and value, the providers of the send side of the service are reasonably, and some of them are, again, the core processors, the independents, the third parties, they're public companies, they have public company pressure. We understand that their costs for that very first payment is really expensive. And so over time, we're seeing more and more banks, and I'll use FedNow as an example. I was just sitting in a meeting, the Atlanta Fed's across the street from our office. I was in there last week for a symposium. I think they're up to about 1,700 banks have signed up for FedNow. That's great, but the send volume is still anemic. And we just need time. We need the use cases and we need the volume to pick up so that the providers of services can drive down those unit costs.
On Money Mavericks, we don't just talk about making money. We explore the innovative strategies and bold decisions that drive real change. Whether you're an experienced investor, a budding entrepreneur, or just someone looking to make smarter financial choices, we've got something for you.
Every week, we're going to sit down with industry leaders, visionaries, and mavericks who share their journeys, challenges, and breakthroughs, from contrarian views on market trends to the secrets behind building a successful startup. You get an inside look at what it takes to thrive in today's economy.
And we promise to keep it real, engaging, and most importantly, actionable. No jargon, no fluff. Just straightforward conversations that you can apply to your own financial journey.
So get ready to challenge your thinking, expand your knowledge, and take control of your financial future. This is Money Mavericks,
where we turn financial dreams into realities and mavericks into legends.
Yeah. So it sounds like pricing is the big one that you're hearing. It's interesting. And maybe it's just
Yeah.
because most of the audience that I'm talking to are people more on the fraud and risk team, but there's a lot of stress around like, RTP, like it's real time, like it's
Right.
real time and that money
Right.
is gone.
Yeah.
Where's the opportunity to underwrite and have some common sense controls? And
Where's
how do you
remediation?
undo this? Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Like
If
there's,
if the rest of your KYC, OFAC, fraud controls aren't also real time, you're just flying blind, and so much of our banking and payments is built on existing trust, not
Trust and verify. Absolutely.
not authentication, not validation. I mean, we always joke I worked at a credit union where we just said we could just put out a bucket of cash in the lobby and our members would take it and bring it back with interest, right?
Yeah.
And it's entirely
Well, and look, I know we have some amazing, innovative bankers who are working on very opportunistic business cases where FedNow is a good solution. But it is a crawl, walk, run. We're still, we're barely, it's 2 years. It was just 2 years ago that it was turned on. And so we still have to make the unit economics work ultimately for greater adoption. And this has applied to every payments type. I mean, debit cards went through the same headache early on when they were rolled out.
And by the way, we're not going to kill off the old one.
No, it's another channel with another set of use cases.
Right.
I want to shift gears before we wrap up at the top of the hour here. I know, Charles, you're a master's runner. I'm curious, are there any lessons from that you think correlate to the pacing
Daryl.
of banked transformation programs?
The real lesson, and this goes for our bankers, and I say this, and masters athletes say this all the time: show up. Show up. We laughingly say, it's the old sweepstakes phrase, must be present to win.
I love that.
Half the battle for our bankers is showing up, being there, being present, being engaged, being active. That's the lesson from masters running. Get up every day and move. I laughingly said at the top of the show, I keep moving, they can't find me. But it is an important lesson for our industry. Show up, be present, make your voice known, stay engaged.
I love that.
And that's so true for life. I mean, in general, I remember saying to Kim when she first worked at a law firm, and she's like, well, it's going to be really tough to make partner. I was like, it won't be. If you just show up every day and do what's asked of you, you'll find half of your first year crew will be gone in the first year. And by year 5, it'll be down to you and one other person.
Attrition is my friend.
It's
People
amazing.
self-select, and if you don't understand
Exactly.
how hard it is for people to successfully show up, day after day. I know hiring 22-year-olds in the winery to work the tasting room. I mean, if I can get them to show 3 days in a row,
Yes.
2 weeks in
It's
a
a
row,
miracle.
unbelievable.
This is the
But,
funny thing.
Daryl, our bankers, our bankers are really good at that. And that's why our programs have been so successful, because God bless them. These are some amazing, first of all, they're small business operators themselves. I mean, let's not forget, small business America is community banking and vice versa. I mean, these are great small business operators. So they know they got to be present. They got to be there. They got to show up, and they show up for the stuff that we do constantly. And it's, it's proving itself out.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I love this theme too. It's one of the things that I taught to my 18-year-old. He just started working part-time at a tire shop. He wants to be a mechanic. He absolutely loves cars. And he was stressed, as being the new kid on the block. But it's crazy. Like, he's never late for work. He never misses a single shift. He works really hard. He puts his nose down. And like, next thing you know, all of a sudden he's getting promoted and he's getting all this flexibility and he gets a raise and they want to be a supervisor. And he's like, what in the world is going on, Dad? I'm like, well, first of all, the bar's kind of low with people who are going to work in a tire shop as a mechanic, right? But, you're just showing up. You show up every day and you do the work and you're reliable and you're responsible and, work ethic. It's a miracle. Anyway.
Well, that almost brings us full circle to my analogy of Chance the Gardener and being there. It's, you be present, just be present, and good things will happen.
Yeah, it's amazing. So maybe one last a couple of rapid fire questions before we close up. You obviously see a lot of founders pitching bankers. What's the most overrated metric you hear founders using, and what's the most underrated one that you think they should lead with?
Boy, overrated, would be ARR. Early on, Nobody wants to know about your hockey stick model. Move on. Tell me something that's real. Underrated is oftentimes churn. And I don't think a lot of founders, because they're trying to be opportunistic, they're trying to grab business, they don't think about what their churn rate will be when some of those early adopters say, it just didn't really work for me. And so by not thinking about churn, you don't ask the questions about continuous improvement and how you're going to create a sticky customer for life.
I love that. That's fantastic. And maybe one last one. If you were to complete the sentence, a bank-ready fintech always brings blank to the first meeting. I think we kind of answered that with one of the themes already, but what would you say?
It's easy to plug the word value in there, but I think most importantly is bring results.
Yeah, and I loved what you talked about on the importance of discovery, right? 2 ears, one mouth. Listen, understand the pain, understand how what you do fits into their goals, be flexible, find a way to bring the value, like you said, but make sure you're moving the needle, results,
I oftentimes tell some of the founders, act like you're 4 years old and just keep asking why till you're blue in the face. Right?
Yeah. It's the old Six Sigma thing, right? Like, the 5 whys and
exactly.
getting through.
Curiosity is so important.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, how can people find out more about what you and the ICBA is doing? I love that you get the background with the website right there, but is there any particular place that you'd love people to go?
ICBA.org/innovation. That's the landing page to get you involved in everything that we do, whether you're a fintech looking to enter the community bank marketplace and work with us as a way to get to know and understand it, or if you're a bank looking for solutions, looking for knowledge, looking for education, looking for solutions and services and programs that can help you on this journey. We have a very robust team behind all of this, working every day to make sure we find the right kind of solutions to solve the real problems that our community banks have.
It's fantastic. It's such an important role that you guys are playing, because community banks are extremely important. They are the backbone of our economy. They play a critical role. We don't want to see this over consolidation with larger and larger banks for all kinds of different reasons. And they need to be able to innovate in order to stay relevant. So you guys are really helping in a powerful way.
Well, thank you. Look, you guys are small business owner operators yourselves. And one of the things that we know, I know from my history is when it comes to financial services, you need choice, you need options, you need somebody with whom you can build a relationship, who can be there on the journey with you. And that's what community banks are all about. They're powering small business lending in the communities they serve. That's where job creation happens in this country, in this economy. And that is such a critically important foundation to the strength of our country and our economy and our culture.
Yeah, fantastic. Charles, can't thank you enough. We could have gone for at least another hour with some of this, but maybe we'll have a chance to bring you back again a little bit later and keep it going.
Daryl, Kurt, thank you so much. I appreciate this. And to your audience out there, look, if you want to work with a community bank, come see us. And if you're a community bank looking for solutions to help you out, come see us as well. That's our job.
Amazing. Good stuff. Appreciate you, man. See you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Money Mavericks. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. And be sure to share this episode with someone who needs to hear it.
Stay connected with us on social media and visit our website for exclusive resources, episode transcripts, and more.
Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries, making smart moves, and turning your financial dreams into realities.
You've been listening to Money Mavericks, where Mavericks become legends.